thank the members of the media for joining us today. Today we are here to announce that we have a suspect in connection with the violent incident that took place outside of McKinley High School on Wednesday at approximately 3:45 p.m. I'm here with Erie County District Attorney John Flynn, Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia, and Buffalo Police Commissioner Barbara Lark. As you know, there were two individuals that were injured in this violent event, a 14-year-old that was stabbed multiple times, and a school security officer that was shot in the leg. The 14-year-old is in stable condition and doing reasonably well. The school security guard was treated the same day and released. I had the opportunity to speak to the school security officer's family. He is in good spirits and looking forward to coming back to work as soon as possible, which certainly is an example of the Buffalo spirit and the Buffalo mentality. I want to just recognize the significant law enforcement partnership and presence. Shortly after the call went out of the violent incident at McKinley High School, Buffalo Police responded very quickly, and our partners in law enforcement from the FBI, the New York State Police, the Erie County Sheriff's Office, Central Police Services, the District Attorney's Office responded very quickly as well, providing assistance to the Buffalo Police Department. A thorough search was done in McKinley High School, even though the event did not occur in the school. Out of an abundance of caution, there were still over 100 students that were engaged in after-school programming in the school. And I want to thank the FBI and its SWAT team that worked very closely with the Buffalo Police SWAT team in clearing the area and clearing the neighborhood, ensuring safety. I also want to thank Governor Kathy Hochul, who called to offer assistance, state legislators Crystal Peoples-Stokes and Tim Kennedy, and County Executive Poland Cars, who also offered assistance. Some of your questions will be, what causes an incident like this to occur? I have a couple of theories. One, I think the pandemic has an impact on some of the increase in violence that we're seeing not only here in this community, but we're seeing across the country. People are angry, people are frustrated, people are fearful, and in particular, I think our young people have been impacted. Also, it is clear that there are just too many illegal weapons on the streets of communities all across this country, urban, suburban, and rural. And that was highlighted just last week when President Biden came to New York City to meet with New York City Mayor Eric Adams on that very subject. Some of the things that the City of Buffalo is doing to partner with the schools and our youth, working with the City Council, we will be enhancing youth employment opportunities, not only in the summer, but in the winter. We will be continuing our Earn to Learn program to keep students academically on track and to help students graduate on time. Finally, I want to just recognize the students at McKinley High School, the staff, the parents. Clearly, this was a difficult and terrifying experience. I want to thank the parents for their patience. I want to thank the administrators who hung in there, ensuring the safety of our children. And in particular, I want to just recognize the bravery of the young people at McKinley High School. The city has a close partnership with the Buffalo Public Schools. We work with the school district very collaboratively. Dr. Kreiner Cash, the school superintendent, will be holding a news conference today at 3:30 at McKinley High School. Now I will turn things over to Deputy Commissioner Gramaglia, and then you will hear from District Attorney John Flynn.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I'd like to recognize the work of the Buffalo Police Department, from our patrol officers and the initial response from all the districts in the city, to the investigative units, our intelligence unit, homicide division, district detectives. Everybody came together very fast to secure the scene, get some control and order in the scene, and then move into the investigative phase. Our homicide detectives have been working nonstop on this to bring a case to justice. We do have one arrest. We are continuing on this investigation. There are more individuals that we are looking for. We will be passing out a Crime Stoppers flyer for a gunman. We have some information. We're looking to identify the individual that we have on video that was seen carrying a gun. We have a picture that will be going out, so that will be sent to you electronically, as well as some paper copies here. Throughout the investigation yesterday, later in the day, we also had information come to us that there was a 13-year-old individual that sustained a grazing gunshot wound. Initially, that 13-year-old did not seek treatment. That treatment was sought yesterday, and that's where we were notified and got involved. Our homicide detectives will be following up with that individual. Fortunately, it is a minor grazing gunshot wound. So if there's any other questions on that, I'll turn it over to the district attorney, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah, well, I'll answer questions too. All right, so let me tell you what happened this morning, and then I'll kind of give you a little bit more of a rundown on what we know and kind of where we're going here from a prosecutorial standpoint. First and foremost, as was stated, a 17-year-old minor was arraigned late last night, actually early this morning at around midnight by a Buffalo City Court Judge Andy Latempio. He was arraigned as a minor in regard to the raise the age law. He was arraigned on 2 charges. He was arraigned on attempted murder in the 2nd degree, and he was arraigned on 1 count of assault in the 3rd degree. Both of those charges were charged under Section 20, which is the accomplice liability theory, meaning that the allegation is that he committed these 2 counts with other individuals, in concert with other individuals. I'm not going to tell you how many other individuals we believe were involved. I'll just say that we believe that there were multiple others, plural, that were involved with him in the actual assault on this victim. He was remanded to custody last night. He's being held at the East Ferry Detention Facility, where he will remain until Monday morning. He would have had a bail review this morning, but it's a court holiday today, and so he will sit over the weekend until Monday morning, and then at 9:30, Judge Brinkworth from Family Court, who is the acting youth court judge here in Erie County, she will then conduct a bail review of this 17-year-old on Monday morning. Obviously, I will be asking for him to be remanded and kept in custody, and then we will go forward with his prosecution. The next step after that will be a return date. As you know, a number of you have seen me talk about and kind of explain how the raise of the age law works. In this case right here, due to the fact that there was serious physical injury to the victim here, we do not need to make a motion to keep this case. I will automatically be able to keep this case and handle it in Superior Court, albeit in Youth Park Court, and then we will go forward with the investigation. As the Deputy Commissioner stated, we believe that there are others involved. First of all, we believe that there were others involved in the actual beating / stabbing of the victim. I am not going to confirm or deny whether or not the individual who we have arrested and arraigned was the actual stabber. At this point, that is still under investigation. Again, I don't need actually to prove, though, that he was the actual stabber. If there were other people with him that were engaged in the physical conduct, they all share the same criminal intent, and they're all equally comparable and accountable under the law. So, first and foremost, we are still investigating whether or not there were others who were involved in the assault on the victim. In addition to that, we also believe that there was a separate individual who had a weapon and fired the shots that struck the security guard in the leg and also now allegedly struck another student and grazed him in the arm. As the Deputy Commissioner stated, this information just came out yesterday. It was just made available to us, and we became aware of it. And so we need to now sit down with that 13-year-old victim and obviously his parents and talk to them and find out exactly what he knows and what he saw. I can also give you a little bit more kind of background here on to what happened. We believe that there was a brewing dispute, for lack of a better phrase, amongst some group of kids that occurred earlier in the day. That dispute rolled over into the parking lot of McKinley High School, the southbound parking lot, which is just outside of the greenhouse there of McKinley High School, after school was dismissed. There were initially some students who were going to start to fight, and then at some point the fight occurred. There were approximately 15 to 25 students total who were in the parking lot when the fight started. The security guard saw the fight starting, and the security guard now is rushing to break up the fight, and that's when the gunshots went off. There were multiple gunshots fired. I'm not going to give you a number at this time. That's still classified. But there were multiple gunshots fired, and as the Deputy Commissioner said and was previously stated before, one of them struck the security guard in the leg, and he kind of went down immediately. And another one, again, apparently struck a 13-year-old and grazed him in the arm. The fight obviously ensued, where the victim, as you know, was injured. The victim suffered 10 stab wounds. 9 were to the chest and abdomen area, and 1 was to the leg. In addition to suffering from 10 stab wounds, the victim also suffered from numerous bruises and abrasions. And as the mayor stated correctly, he is still in the hospital. He is still in stable condition, but he was injured pretty badly and has a little way to go to get to full recovery and to get out of the hospital. My victim advocate, Kim Rapp, in my office, has been in regular contact with his mother. We spoke to his mother this morning, and we are obviously monitoring the victim and providing services to his family as to whatever he needs and whatever his mother needs. The last thing I want to talk about here is kind of a piggyback on what the mayor stated here, is about kind of the violence overall that we are seeing amongst our youth that have occurred, quite frankly, since COVID happened. Just so you know, there have been approximately 16 incidents of police reports at McKinley High School since the start of the school year. 6 of them have involved fights in some nature or form. A incident occurred on February 1st that I am currently prosecuting at McKinley High School, where a number of girls got into a fight and a necklace was torn off one of the girls in the fight, and now I have 2 minors being charged with criminal mischief, which is a felony. I'm probably going to lose that case, though. That case is probably going to get to family court because no one got seriously injured, and I'll make a motion, obviously, to keep that case, but I'm anticipating losing that case, and that case now going to family court. And in addition to COVID, that was the mayor's first point that he correctly made. The second point that he correctly made was the proliferation of weapons that are in our streets. In my opinion, not speaking for the mayor, or speaking for me alone now, okay, there is a third reason. And that third reason is the incredible lack of accountability that is occurring in our criminal justice system. It is no coincidence that we have seen a spike in violence, a spike in particularly gun violence in the past 2 years, when the numerous criminal justice reforms were passed and came into effect. Now, I'm not saying that they are solely the problem, but I'm going to add that to the list. And in particular, I'm going to add to the list the new raise the age law. In the past 2 to 3 years, we have seen not only a significant increase in the number of minors getting charged with crimes, we have also seen a significant increase in the number of minors who are victims of crimes. And what we need to start doing is start focusing our attention on the victims of crimes and not necessarily the defendants. And we need to start holding the defendants accountable for their actions. And I, quite frankly, don't care if the defendant is a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old. I do care if the defendant is a 15 or 16-year-old who gets picked up with a bag of marijuana or gets picked up on breaking into a car because the kid wants to sleep in the car because he or she is homeless. I care about that person. I want to help that person. But the 15, 16, 17-year-old who is shooting up our streets, who is getting caught with guns, who is committing assault and other violent crimes, my love now is going to turn to tough love. And that's what we need. We need more tough love. And guess what? I'm here to deal out that tough love. And so this young man right here who is now being charged is going to be charged to the fullest extent of the law. The individual who brought a gun into Bennett High School 2 months ago is going to be charged to the fullest extent of the law. And we need to have some accountability here. We need to have, using a school term and an education term, we need to have some more discipline. And if my dear friends in Albany aren't going to dish out more discipline, well, that's why you have me as district attorney. I guess I'll do it. Any questions? Listen, absolutely. Listen here. Listen here. There are numerous instances and numerous reasons for crime in general. Obviously, poverty, lack of economic opportunities, the breakdown of the family. I can go on and on, okay? And obviously, those are factors that occur well ahead of time, all right? No, listen here. We had, again, I won't make the mayor say this because, he had to live through it, but we had a discussion, over the course of the past 2 years now, where, you had groups talk about defunding the police. And the concept is we want to defund the police in order to put that money into programs that help out individuals before they commit a crime. And I'm all for that second part of it, okay? I am all for a 10-year plan where we help 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds at the beginning so they do not commit crimes at 17 and 18. I'm on that program, okay? But we can't take the money from police now to fund that until we get the crime down. So if we can have a 10-year Marshall Plan to fund programs for 7 and 8-year-olds, and then 10 years from now, maybe we're hopefully at a point where crime has gone way down, well, now we can have those discussions, all right? But until then, you can't have those discussions. You need to fund the police, and you need to fund programs for 7 and 8-year-olds. Yeah. No. Yes, I'm not going to give you a range, Jeff. I'm going to say others, plural S. There are more than one. There are more than one other individuals we believe were engaged in the assault on the victim. Dave. Yep. I'm sorry, what, Dave? At this point, we have numerous pieces of evidence that we are looking at. I'm not going to specifically say exactly what types of evidence we have or what kind of evidence we have, but we have spoken to numerous witnesses who were in the fight. We have viewed the video from McKinley High School, okay? And I'm not going to confirm or deny whether or not there's other video out there. But again, obviously, we are reviewing all evidence. And listen here, Dave, you know me. If I had clear-cut evidence that others were involved and who they were, I'd charge them by now, okay? But at this point, we don't. It's still under investigation. There are others who are suspects, and there are others who are being investigated.
We have video of the incident, we have statements, we have witnesses. Investigators did a very good job on getting to the point while working with the district attorney's office to get to the point where we could lay those charges. We were onto somebody pretty quickly. It just took a little time to build up enough evidence to make that arrest. The individual, we had to get to the point where we had the evidence and we found that person right away. Working with our patrol officers, one of our patrol officers in particular had some insight into that and was able to bring this individual into custody very safely without incident at all. So it was a very smooth transaction, if you will. We have the individual that's in the Crime Stoppers photo that had the gun in his hand, fired the weapon, and that's the individual we're looking at. I'm not going to comment right now on anything beyond that point.
Mr. Mayor, if we could ask you a question in terms of funding. With school resource officers, and I realize some of this may funding stream may go back to the school district as well. We'll ask Superintendent Cash about that. But we are hearing that there are 10 school resource officers who are split among the Buffalo School District. You have, I believe, 19, 20 high schools. Is that enough? Do we need more school resource officers actually in the schools?
I don't think the issue is school resource officers. If the school district was to feel and express to us that they needed more school resource officers, we would provide them. As District Attorney Flynn said, we just went through a period of protests where people were saying defund police, where activists were getting a lot of coverage screaming defund police. I met with activists in this community that were saying completely take police out of the schools altogether. So don't have 10, have 0. So the city has been partnering with the school district. The city will work closely with the school district, and we will provide resources not only for programming for youth, as we are doing right now. There is a range of many programs for young people in this community. There is more money for additional jobs and job training for young people in this community. Those dollars are there right now, and so we will do everything that we reasonably can to support the public schools, our children, and our parents. We need every stakeholder in this community to do the same.
But is it time that, based upon the district attorney's comments, is it time to have that discussion with Superintendent Cash as to whether or not we need to see more of a uniform presence in schools? Even though, again, as you pointed out, people called for them to be removed. But is it time to make sure you do have more of a presence based on this incident and others?
Again, right now, we do increase presence of police where needed. So if we are told that there is the potential for an incident, if there are concerns, the management of our police department does increase police presence around our schools so that we can respond quickly. That is the kind of partnership that we have with the school district. So we are always open to that discussion and that conversation in terms of what is needed, not only for security, but for other issues that are critical to the safety and the education of our children. You know, I would say that that call by Mr. Ramore is not helpful. Right now, any incident in the Buffalo Public Schools has to be reported. The school district is a mandatory report by law. Any incident, any violence, any crime that takes place in the city of Buffalo is recorded and documented by the Buffalo Police Department. And the district attorney, who is standing right here, is conducting a very thorough investigation right now. Currently, Mr. Ramore has been an educational stakeholder for more than 35 years. It would be good to hear from him what he can do, what resources, what support he can provide to help improve circumstances that add to the safety and educational outcomes for our children. But But I think calling for a federal and state investigation is performative, and it's not helpful.
And as a Mayor Stead, I am the state, and I'm already doing it. I'm investigating. I investigate every single incident that occurs in every one of the Buffalo Public Schools. Not only this incident right here, the one I mentioned before that was in McKinley. We're also investigating other incidents that have occurred throughout numerous schools in the city of Buffalo. So I'm doing that on a daily basis. And not only am I doing the investigation part of it, okay, I'm also doing some proactive measures. Just last week, we had 2 gun violence impact panels at Bennett campus. In the past year and a half, I've done multiple gun violence impact panels at numerous schools throughout the city of Buffalo, and now we're also bringing that into the suburbs. So not only do I continue to investigate every criminal activity, every act of violence that happens in the public schools, I'm also taking proactive measures as well. Chris? Okay. No. And the shooting. And the shooting. Yeah, so to answer your first question is no. Answer your second question is yes. Okay, so I do not believe that all 15 to 20 were involved in the fight. There were a number of them who were bystanders, who were just kind of hanging around watching what happened, all right? I'm not gonna give you a specific number right now. I will later once it's clarified, as to how many were actually engaged in the actual fight with the victim, okay? But it was more than one, we believe, but certainly not anywhere near the 15 or 25. So there were many more of the 15 or 25 were actual bystanders just hanging around watching, okay? So that clarified the first part? Okay, so the second part is yes. The answer to your question is yes. I want, in a perfect world, I want to charge and prosecute everyone who committed an act of violence on that afternoon.
Are you not telling us that the 17-year-old was the person who physically did the stabbing because you don't know at this point, or because it's just part of the investigation?
It's part of the investigation. I'm not gonna tell you definitively what I know or don't know with regard to that for strategic purposes. Okay. The bottom line is that right now, Chris, I don't need to know that for my charging decisions. Okay, because I don't need to know if, for example, there's 5 guys involved in a fight. All right. And one guy's got a knife and the other 4 are using fist. I can charge all 5 with the same criminal intent of the guy with a knife, okay? And all 5 are culpable for what the guy with the knife did. So right now, I don't need to specifically charge the 17-year-old with specifically either punching, beating, or stabbing. So I don't have to, so I'm not gonna. So the investigation is ongoing. There are still other witnesses that need to be talked to. There are still other things that need to be done to clarify what happened. As you can imagine, with 15 to 25 people out there, a security guard running in, a guy with a gun shooting off, okay, a guy or girl with a knife stabbing someone. As David said, this wasn't your typical 1950, let's fight behind the school. This was a chaotic situation. And so whenever you have a chaotic situation, in order to weed through the chaos, you got to do a thorough investigation. And that's what we are.
What's the age range of this
Well, we're looking to identify the individual, so I can't tell you where he goes to school. If he goes to school, looks younger, but that's why we put the Crime Stoppers flyer out in an effort to identify the individual. Anybody has any information, there is a reward of up to $5,000 for a non-fatal shooting.
Just a quick question. A lot of people, for the mayor, a lot of people have said that Dr. Cash has been absent. Do you think Dr. Cash is being held accountable? Is he able to get the job done to get the public schools back to a focus of learning and not violence?
Well, I can tell you firsthand that Dr. Cash has not been absent. As soon as Buffalo police reported to me that the incident had occurred, my very next call was to Dr. Cash. I was on the phone with Dr. Cash periodically Wednesday, periodically yesterday, and several times this morning. So the superintendent has been very active. I would also say getting to the point where this suspect has been arrested involved excellent police work by the Buffalo Police Department and support from the district attorney's office to take that individual into custody without incident. We also have to note the importance and the critical need for involvement of families in this situation, and the family of the 17-year-old that is in custody has been very cooperative in this situation. And so anyone that has any information about anyone that is involved in this incident that took place on Wednesday, please call the police tip line number at 847-2255.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the exact technical category he's in. We spoke to the mother, though, recently, my victim impact witness advocate, and he is obviously out of surgery. He is still in the hospital. He, like I said before, had numerous stab wounds, and these stab wounds were not just superficial cuts; they were literally insertion stab wounds. And so he's got a long way to go to obviously to get back to his normal self. But as far as what the technical, whether it's stable, critical, you have to call the hospital probably.
Again, the city government will work with the school district in the way they want us to collaborate and partner with them. Can we put more police resources into the schools? Yes, we can. But we just went through a period, again, and I will say it again, where people were calling for the defunding of police, which I never agreed with. Which I strongly spoke out against. People were calling for no police presence whatsoever in schools. It was because of the calls of activists that off-duty police officers were removed from schools. So we will partner with the school district in the way that the Buffalo Public Schools, its Board of Education, parents, and educational stakeholders would like to see us partner with them. A substation in every school is not feasible and not realistic. An enhanced presence is feasible and is realistic, but you have different educational stakeholders and different community stakeholders saying different things, which is why the city has been creative in working directly with the school district. So when we are informed of incidents, when we are informed of threats, we can increase and adjust manpower as needed, and that's what we've been doing.
DA or Deputy Commissioner, you probably are going to say no comment. We have been speaking to some people who say that they're familiar with historical grounds. Number one, could this be characterized as a gang assault? And number two, the Buffalo News and other sources have done stories about West Side gangs, including some being refugees. Is there any reason to believe that some of those tensions that you said were building up were as a result of gang activity, and could this be a gang assault?
I have no reason to believe at this point right now that there was anything outside of a dispute that was brewing in the school that very day that led to this. There possibly could have been instances that happened a week before or 2 weeks before that I'm unaware of. I'm not going to speculate that's true, but is it possible? Yes. Now, when Ron, you know I've talked about it before. When you say gangs, I think it's fair, and the public needs to understand that the term gang has evolved over the past 20, 30 years, where we no longer have the centralized, organized Bloods and Crips, not just here in Buffalo, but in nationwide. Okay, the gangs are more of neighborhood kids getting together in a loosely fashioned way. That's how I would characterize gangs. And it's here. And obviously, there's gang activity throughout the city. There's gang activity in every neighborhood, of the city. And so that's something that the Buffalo Police, myself, our federal partners are looking at every day to combat. But a specific gang dispute that led to this fight right here, at this time right now, I have no information that that's true.
Two more. Aaron, you good?
Yep.
You said, was there an exchange of gunfire, or was there just one shooter?
There were, we believe there was one shooter at this time. That obviously could change, okay? But we believe there was one shooter. And we believe that the shots were fired after the fight started, and that the security guard was on his way to break up the fight. And that's when the shots got fired. No.
I'm sorry, Eileen, can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
You must be aware of all the incidents that have been occurring at McKinley over time as the mayor. Would you kind of cash a phone to you and ask for help to kind of quell this? I mean, and look for solutions. It just seems like, it just continues to boil over with these fights and disruptions. I even heard that Sister Arthur was security guard, and they haven't been too stable with their leadership. Why not demand some answers from the superintendent on this?
So I will say to you as mayor, I have been to McKinley High School numerous times over the years. There are great kids at McKinley High School working hard, doing great things, committed educators, committed staff. We were not asked for any additional help or support at McKinley High School. As I've already indicated, we have a very close partnership and working relationship with the Buffalo Public Schools, and when we are asked for support in different ways, the City of Buffalo and the Buffalo Police Department provide it. But I have been to McKinley High School numerous times, and I want to say for the record, and I want to be very clear, so that we are not stigmatizing McKinley High School and the vast majority of kids at McKinley High School. There are great kids at that school. The administration, the teachers, the staff are working hard at that school, and many committed parents at that school. So we were not asked to do anything additional at McKinley High School from a public safety standpoint, but when the school district needs greater involvement and brings that to our attention, we are there to partner and work with them. Am I aware that there have been incidents there? Yes, I am aware that there have been incidents there. Yes, I am aware that there have been incidents in different parts of the city. And yes, we do have plans and strategies to address those things. It's important, again, to recognize that many very successful initiatives and programs of the Buffalo Police Department, the city government, the school district were interrupted, were suspended, were impacted by COVID. And that's why I said that I believe that there is some COVID implication to the violence that we're seeing in the city of Buffalo and communities all across this country. There has been an uptick in violence. And so that is one of the reasons for that. Now that we are coming through, to some degree, it seems, the worst of COVID, many of our successful initiatives and programs have been put back in place. Just the other day, Deputy Commissioner Lark and other women in the community met with young girls in the city of Buffalo, talking about a range of issues in a forum sort of environment. What we all need to do right now is come together as a community and support each other. We can look to point fingers of blame. We can call for investigations. But this is a time that calls us to work together, not to point fingers at one another.
Yes. And the victim is too. David?
I'm sorry? I can't hear you. Oh. The tractor trailers over the last couple of nights have backed up. They start in the afternoon, and they have been alleviated throughout the night. That has impacted the 190, the state police, DOT, the New York Thruway Authority. They're handling all that. We have met. We're looking at what is planned for this weekend. We met with a whole lot of partners, stakeholders that are involved in this. So we're looking to see what may be planned for the weekend. Yeah, well, we will be looking to redirect if truck traffic backs up like it did last year. We have some areas that we would redirect them to until they can get through the bridge. Related to this incident, I don't believe so. We have to get in from. We'll have to look at that weapon. I'm just from what I know on it loosely, I don't believe that has anything to do with it. Yeah, information. We have information on where they're going to meet, which routes that they plan on coming, or at least possibly might be coming. As I said, we're working with a lot of agencies. A lot is unknown, so we will be working to address it quickly if possible. get resources where they need to be. So we're actively working on it right now. We're working on it. Some, there might be some. We're hearing, you know, there might be some in other vehicles. So it's, you know, there's a lot of different things that are coming at us. So we're planning for a variety of things.
All right, thank you.